Good afternoon. Welcome to Kent City Council Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, September 16. Melissa, may we have roll call, please?
Council President Kaur.
Here.
Councilmember Boyce.
Here.
Councilmember Boyd.
Here.
Councilmember Fincher.
Here.
Councilmember Larmer. Councilmember Michaud.
Here.
And Councilmember Troutner.
Here. Thank you, Melissa. Agenda approval. Any changes to the agenda? If not, may I have a motion, please?
So moved, Madam President.
Second, Madam President.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next up, we have approval of minutes for September 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much. Payment of bills. We should have received that in our email.
So moved.
And second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. And we have Michelle here with our July 2025 monthly financial report. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Michelle Ferguson, presenting the July 2025 monthly financial report. So now that we've gotten through the halfway point of the year, this report now contains estimated actuals. Those numbers will change throughout the rest of the year as we get closer and numbers get a little bit closer to where we estimate them to be, but this is just a little bit of a preview of where we think that they will end up at. So here on this first slide, I've highlighted sales tax because that is a number that is ever changing. Over the last couple months, we were seeing a decline in the monthly amount that we were receiving from 25 to 24, but in July, they've actually come in $275,000 over where they were in 2024. So here's kind of the same slide I showed you last time where you can see that they've kind of rebounded. Now they are at the point of where they were in 2023. So it's really hard to get an estimate on what they're going to do. I've actually seen the numbers for the August report, and they are also higher than they were in 2024. So sales tax is estimated to come in over budget by about $750,000 to $1 million, but if they keep going on this up and up trend, it could be even more. So we'll just kind of have to see where the rest of the year shakes out. Okay, so on this slide, the other revenues have been highlighted. So the intergovernmental revenues, charges for services, and miscellaneous revenues are all coming in higher in 2025 than they were at the same time in 2024. But as I've mentioned in the last couple of monthly reports, the fines and forfeitures and licenses and permits are coming in under where they were in 2024. So here on the slide, the estimated actuals for licenses and permits are going to be estimated to be about $400,000 under budget, so not a huge decrease, but a decrease. And then for fines and forfeitures, those are expected to be about $500,000 under budget. So I mentioned before, but just in case, the licenses and permits are coming in under budget for cable franchise fees, IFC permit revenues, those are for fire, and commercial and building permits, as well as developmental permits. And then the fines and forfeitures, that was kind of an accounting entry. In 2025, a fine was issued, and that's why the revenues were higher in 2024, but then in 25 it was reversed, and so that's why we had that negative amount at the beginning of the year. So overall, total revenues for the general fund are expected to come in about $3 million over budget. That is mostly due to interest income. It hasn't declined as we thought that it might, so that's the good news. And expenditures are estimated to come in about $2 million under budget. As for the other funds, highlighted just a couple of the funds that kind of had where the estimated actuals have changed kind of from where the budget was budgeted at. So left one retiree benefits, the expenditures are coming in quite a bit lower than we had budgeted, and that is mostly due to the underspending of the long-term care for the left one retirees. And that's about $170,000 under what we budgeted to be. And then the Capital Resources Fund expenditures are estimated to be about $600,000 under budgeted. And that is so the Capital Resources Fund, if you recall, is made up of the general capital resources and parks. And so it's mostly underspending kind of on the park side. But we have to wait until we get closer to the year to see if that actually comes in that way. And then on this slide, the sewer utility fund has been highlighted because it was budgeted to use about $1.7 million in fund balance, but in actual, it's estimated that it's not going to need to use any of its fund balance by the end of the year. And that is mostly due to the King County pass-through. It increased by 5.75, but we are not seeing that on the monthly amount that we are being charged. So whether that will be corrected by the end of the year or not, we're not quite sure, but right now it's only coming in at about 1 or 2% higher than it was last year at this time. And on this last slide, highlighted is workers' compensation. We were seeing a trend in judgments and damages of over 30% for the last few years, increase year over year, but we are not seeing those as of right now. That could change by the end of the year, but we're hoping that those trends will continue of that downward trend and we will not need as much money in that as budgeted. And then property insurance, the property insurance was renewed and it came in lower than budgeted. We had been seeing a 15 to 20% increase per year, and it was renewed much less, and so that's great. And so we're expecting to see about $300,000 being able to be put back into the fund balance for that fund. Are there any questions?
Okay.
Any questions for Michelle? All right. Thank you. Very optimistic report. All right. Next up, we have Public Safety. Councilmember Boyce.
All righty. Not prepared, but give me a minute. Okay, here we go. So we're going to have Sarah Halstead come up and going to talk about the Washington Traffic Safety Commission grant for the dedication of DUI Officer Grant Program. Sarah,
Hello.
how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
All righty.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
It's always fun to come and talk about grant money, right?
That's right.
I know that's
Love
your
it.
favorite thing. Wanted to first of all present to you our dedicated DUI officer grant program. As some of you may remember back, I think we were back here in March or April of this year. We were one of a handful of police departments across the state that the Washington Traffic Safety Commission funded to have a dedicated DUI officer, which funds salary and benefits and education and outreach for around impaired driving prevention and education. And so it was sort of a pilot the past couple of months when we first initially were funded, and they have agreed to want to fund us for another year. And it's really a totality of a 3-year grant. So we'd be starting year 2 on October 1st, 2025, and that would run through September 30, 2026. And Officer David Castro is one of our traffic officers. He is our dedicated DUI officer. And so during the pilot, we were able to fund a wrap of his vehicle that identifies his car and his role really as a dedicated DUI officer around the car. And he's working 410 shifts out there doing the work. And then we also have patrol officers that are supplementing his work as well as part of the grant project. So I'm here today to present this to you for year 2 and open for any questions you might have.
Okay. Are you doing both or one at a time?
However you'd like.
We'll do both. Any question on the first one here, team? Let's go do the second one.
Okay. The second one also is a second-year grant project. As many of you know, I'm a community education coordinator with the Kent Police Department. One of the hats I also wear is one of our Target Zero managers for King County. So I'm responsible for traffic safety programming, working with my co-parts at Public Health and a variety of different committees to identify strategies under the Safe System approach, which is the Washington State's approach to traffic safety across the state. One of the programs that we started last year in response to the fatal crash that happened in the Fairwood area in March of 2024 was what we call the Corridor Project. And it really is a safe system approach where we are looking at all different elements of traffic safety and bringing all of those resources kind of to that one stretch of roadway. And so in addition, expanding beyond Fairwood, we're looking at that entire roadway from 140th, which starts north at Highway 169, and it's about 10 miles south to Highway 18. And so we're coordinating enforcement and education efforts between City of Renton, King County Roads, King County Sheriff's Office, Kent, and Auburn. Many of you may have seen our Slower is Safer yard signs that are out there. That's part of this program, really focusing on speed education and trying to change driver culture when it comes to lowering speed limits, because that crash was caused by an excessively speeding driver. So we're doing a lot around culture change. We're also in the schools teaching Teen Target Zero. One of the gaps that was identified was not having a really strong driver education system in the schools anymore. So we're trying to get into all the high schools that we can along that roadway to educate their teen and young drivers, as well as coordinated enforcement with our different police departments. So this will fund year 2 of that project. We're expanding it this year also to include a community grant application process where we're asking local community groups to put in an application to do some speed education. We've had a lot of success with our pedestrian bicycle grant doing that as well. So we're doing that this time for the corridor project as well. So lots of facets of that one.
Pretty neat. Love the grants. Any question, team? Okay, we'll start with please, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Thank you. I didn't have a question, just a comment. I've talked about Public Works and going to the traffic safety conferences. I haven't been able to publicly say, in between our traffic folks and Sarah, they are very well thought of in the traffic safety community nationwide. You've been invited to speak and spoke at a conference this summer. And I think that you guys are a large part of the reason that we get to do or be on the receiving end of some of these. So I just wanted to say, great job, well done. Really respect and appreciate the job that you do for us.
Thank you very much for saying that. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Brenda. Appreciate that. Okay. Do we need to say anything else good about Sarah? Keep doing it.
Stop it.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. All right, we'll get started. I got a motion here. So the first one, I move to accept the grant funds in the amount of $200,000 from the Washington Traffic Safety Commission for the dedicated DUI officer grant program. Amend the budget, authorize expenditure of the fund, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary agreement and other documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the police chief and the city attorney.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Okay, here goes the next one. Here, Target Zero. I move to accept grant fund in the amount of $125,000 from the Washington Traffic Safety Commission for the 2025-2026 Corridor Traffic Safety Grant Program. Amend the budget, authorize expenditure of fund, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary agreements and other documents subject to terms and conditions acceptable to the police chief and city attorney.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show unanimous pass. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
Keep
you
up the
very
good job.
much.
We really appreciate you and all you do.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyce. Thank you, Sarah. And now we have Public Works, Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We are going to hear from Carla Maloney first. And I see David Payne is with her. So we're going to hear about National Highway System Asset Management Program.
Good afternoon, council members. If it's all right, we're going to tag team on this one since there are 3 presentations. Together, David Payne, City Transportation Planner with Public Works. Earlier this year, we presented 3 grant awards for consideration by council, and you can't see it because they've been grayed out. That's okay. This is a similar map showing the locations of the different projects that we've been awarded that we applied for in 2024. So we're here to present on 3 more. These are for the National Highway System Management Program, the Safe Routes to School Program, and then the PSRC Regional Grant Program. So we'll go over each of those in turn. But first, as you mentioned, Carla Maloney from the Design Management.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Carla Maloney, Design Engineering Manager for Public Works Design. And we're here to talk a little bit about the NHS National Highway System Asset Management Program grant. It is, for this particular season, we applied for a project that was along West James Street between Washington Avenue North and Central Avenue North. That area there is shown there in the yellow highlighted box. This section, for those of you who are not familiar, runs in front of the ShoWare Center, Kent Station, King County Metro Park and Ride, Kent Commons, the Regional Justice Center, and it connects at the very end to Mill Creek Middle School. So there's a lot of different community things that are going on along this corridor. Lots of traffic that we have that goes along this corridor. So when we applied for this project, we applied for it because it's a preservation project. The condition of the pavement out there really warrants this work that needs to be done. So the grant will cover pavement repairs, sidewalk repairs, curb ramp upgrades, also upgrades to signals for accessible pedestrian systems. All of these things will be focusing around providing accommodations for our users that are not as able-bodied as the rest of us. The work does not include improvements at the railroad crossings, just as an FYI. We'll be paving right up to the railroad crossing, but we're not going to be doing inside the railroad. The grant that we received, $1. Let me say that again, $6,641. That's for design and construction, fully funded for all aspects related to the grant, with construction anticipated to begin in January of 2027. Thanks.
Thank you, Carla. And we're being maybe a little bit modest, but I hope it's okay if I mention that that was the second largest award under the NHS grant this cycle in the state. So, go team. We're really proud to be able to bring this back for y'all and for the residents. The second project at the location of 64th Avenue and South 232nd Street also has a very active use of the northwest quadrant. That's the Neely O'Brien Elementary. This intersection's been pursued for a number of improvements for grant applications over the years, and so we're proud that we've been able to revise what we've been applying for, and perhaps maybe a little bit more of a favorable environment in this last cycle. And we've received an award for $3 million to construct a roundabout at the intersection, including, you can see the marked crosswalks. Those would be enhanced crosswalks with RFB crossings at the major legs. It will include also a conversion of the road because of the operation of the roundabout to a single travel lane in each direction. And that allows us to fit in the bike lanes, which have been planned for through the TMP. The bike lanes would connect down to James Street and to the bike lanes under design as part of that preservation project, which would complete the connection all the way from the Manufacturing Industrial Center down to Meet Me on Meeker, to the Meeker corridor. And then last but not least, the Meet Me on Meeker project, we received a regional competition grant award for the final segment of the Meet Me on Meeker, the final segment of the originally conceived project from 2017. This would be the segment from the interurban crossing all the way to 6th Avenue South, and it would include converting the roadway into a single travel lane in each direction. It would include the curb bulb outs that you can see in the upper illustration that to help shorten the crossing distance at 6th Avenue South and North, where the two streets intersect. And it would also include the two-way bike lanes and promenade on the south side of the street. Again, this is the final segment, so this should be of the original vision. So this would be, we're very excited to bring this to the residents of Kent and to businesses. And this would go to construction, it's scheduled in 2028. So this is a $2.5 million award. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. We are happy to answer any questions or take any comments that council may have.
Questions from anyone or comments? Yes, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Fincher. Thank you, David, and thank you, Carla. Pretty amazing job. Just want to say kudos to your team for always bringing back grants for our community to complete the work. I had a question about the 64th Avenue. It's probably not relevant to this presentation, but just out of curiosity, 64th was moving like truck route used to be a lot of trucks. They used to be, has it decreased because of the Meet Me on Meeker project that we have, the truck traffic on that street from this, going from south?
I'll let Rob answer that question.
Just out of curiosity.
It's been a while since I've been up here. Good afternoon, council members. Rob Brown, Transportation Engineering Manager, Public Works. So 64th Avenue was designed as 5 lanes from Meeker all the way to the north. It was actually over-designed. There is some truck traffic because, again, we have the city shops and there are some delivery trucks down to Meeker. But we're trying to de-emphasize trucks from Meeker and do the placemaking. So the truck traffic has decreased a little bit, but the industrial area really starts north of 236. So
Some more Veterans Drive.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, and the Veterans Drive with that connection to I-5, that'll make a huge difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just curious if it's kind of, we're looking at the roundabout and it's like, has it decreased now? Just,
As a traffic engineer, I'm really excited
Yeah.
about that. So
thank you.
thanks.
I don't have any other questions or comments.
Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, Councilmember Fincher. I just want to say great work. It's $12 million that the city doesn't have to spend. So great job. Good work.
Thank you.
And $12 million that we wouldn't have to spend. Not that we wouldn't choose to, it just wouldn't be here. Anyone else? Then we'll take those in order. Madam Chair, I move to accept federal grant funds from the Washington State Department of Transportation in the amount of $6,641,000 for the West James Street Preservation Project, amend the budget as necessary, authorize the expenditure of funds, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary agreements and other documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's been moved, seconded, and approved. Thank you very much. Next, I move to accept federal grant funds from the Washington State Department of Transportation in the amount of $3 million for the 64th Avenue South and South 236th Street intersection improvements project, amend the budget as necessary, authorize the expenditure of funds, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary agreements and other documents subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And for the third one, I move to accept grant funds for the Federal Highway, from the Federal Highway Administration in the amount of $2,500,000 for the Meet Me on Meeker Interurban Trail 26th Avenue South Connection Project, amend the budget as necessary, authorize the expenditure of funds, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary agreements and other documents, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now just over $12 million to the good. And we are going to hear from David one more time. Thank you very much. This is on the Sandy Williams Connecting Communities Grant Program.
Again, Council, David Payne. Right on the heels of that acceptance, we don't rest too much. We're already looking forward to the next grant application. So this is a nomination of a project, an additional project that we're pursuing, a new grant. Call for projects came out in August from WashDOT under the Sandy Williams Connecting Communities Grant Program. So this program is a little different. It has a little bit tighter restrictions or objectives and scoring criteria. So we're looking for a project that has already completed community engagement, that really came out of community engagement, that already has completed documentation to a certain level, so it has to have advanced through concepts, and that benefits primarily an equity focus area. So this particular project would be for enhanced crossing of Pacific Highway South. This is SIR 99. It also has to cross a state or involve a state route or a state legacy route. So again, a little tighter constraints on what we can apply for. Pacific Highway is a state highway, SR 99. This would be at the intersection of South 268th Street. So you can see the Woodmont Library is labeled, and that's the southwest quadrant. You can also see Star Lake Station labeled. This is a little bit less than a mile from that station that will be opening in December. So it's and it's a mile as a pedestrian would actually walk to it, not as the crow flies. So we think it would score well, and it also literally bridges between two communities because the west side of the street is Des Moines. So we think that's a pretty good combination of application material. So what would the project entail? So this is what the intersection looks like currently with 268th. You can see the Rapid Ride A line on the northeast quadrant, and then there's also a similar station on the southwest quadrant where the library is. So this would add a marked crosswalk with a pedestrian refuge or a saw cut through the area that's there currently. And then the pedestrian hybrid beacons, you can see the illustration of what those look like up at the top left, which when activated by pedestrians would stop traffic. We're currently in design and going to construction hopefully in the next year for 2 more of those further north on Pacific Highway, the under grants that the council accepted over the past year and a half. Last element is that there's of course the bus pairing of bus stops is helpful, where currently there are legal crosswalks but not marked crosswalk for the intersection. We would be seeking construction funds for the project, and with that I'm happy to answer any questions that I can about the project. Nomination.
Madam Chair, I have this is information only. I do not have a motion to read, so that is it for us. Thank you very much. It's nice for their neighborhood because it's still close to a church and businesses, library. So, well.
Council, and thank you again for the kind words. We'll be sure to share this with the design team and the operations side of the shop that worked on our applications today.
Please do. Thank you. That is it for us.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Fincher. Thank you, David. It's always great to see you and hear about all the amazing things that you all are doing for our communities. So with that, we are adjourned until 5:15 for council workshop. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Kent City Council Workshop for Tuesday, September 16. We have 2 items on our agenda, and they're very, very exciting. So let's go ahead and get started with Rediscover Downtown Plan Update, and we have Kristen Holsworth with Caroline Eckel. Welcome.
Hello. We are actually going to tag team our presentation for today. Kristen and I have been working on this part of the downtown plan. So I'm going to let Kristen kick off our opening.
Yes, so as a reminder, this is Caroline Eckel. She's 3 months, almost a full 3 months into the city. So the downtown plan we have been co-managing and leading, and she's starting to ramp up in it. But I am going to give some general updates of what I had been working on before she had started and let you know where we're at, and then she'll tell you where we're going. So first, reminder of our schedule. So this project has had some starts and stops as we've adjusted to changing state requirements, changing staffing levels. We were originally planning on bringing you all a draft plan and then final adoption at the end of this year. We've had some conversations with PSRC, and their timeline has adjusted, which means our timeline can adjust. So we actually have a little bit more time for internal coordination. So we're now planning on a spring adoption deadline. It doesn't extend the cost of the project or anything like that. The consultants are all well within budget, but it gives us a little bit more time internally to have some conversations and feel good about it before we publish a plan for broader external review. It also enables us, we've had 2 out of our 3 community advisory group meetings, and so this enables us to get a little bit further along before we have that final advisory group meeting as we talk about realistic expectations for how we finance things and how we prioritize projects. So wanted to give that first update, and also didn't want Caroline to be the one delivering it. It's not because of her project management. We just happened to have a check-in with PSRC, and they were also saying there was some flexibility on their end, and so we said, you know what, if we can take advantage of that, it doesn't put us at risk for any of our funding opportunities for grants or anything. They do have some cities that are a little bit more in their crosshairs for not being certified because they're failing to grow and some other things. We are not on that list, and they've assured us that that's not a concern, and if they start seeing an issue, they'll let us know right away, but we're not anticipating that. So just first update before. Did you all have any questions about that? Or okay, great. So that is when I actually think it gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to really be thoughtful and responsive to the community versus saying we talked to them but we had to move so fast. So where we're headed next, we're going to present to you the draft vision and goals. The previous vision was actually longer than this. This is the 2013 plan had a vision that was it spanned over 2 pages, 17 paragraphs. We worked with the community to narrow it down to really describe a lot. At the end of the day, when we look at this, what we're talking about is more housing, more jobs, more people, and more activity downtown. And so there's a lot of details in how we want to do that in terms of living and working and gathering and public spaces and connectivity. But these at the core, this is something we've worked with Bill Ellis, our economic development manager, as well, of like, if we were to distill it down simply, what are we talking about? So this is really the core of what we're trying to do over as meeting our goals for our downtown and the city, as well as the regional growth center requirements for PSRC. So we're going to walk through, we've had some iterations of goals with the city, with our land use and planning board and the advisory group, and we've asked for feedback. So these have been refined. I think we go through this word salad where everyone wants to put everything in as a goal, and they all sound really good, and then we have 5 sentences for one goal. So we've worked to pare them down, but to still keep the things that rose to the top. So Land Use and Planning Board helped us go from 10 to 6 and say, really reduce these because you have a lot of overlap in these areas. And then the advisory group, we had some iterative feedback where they said, really, this is the priority, or these are the things we want you to highlight, and the rest can be actions or implementation under it. So I'm going to set the foundation of here's the goals, here's why we think it's important, and then Caroline's going to come in and tell you a little bit more about the plan priorities and where we're starting to go from a more big, high-level picture of what we want into actual physical projects and ideas around the city. So this first goal, really what we're hearing is people want to have a downtown that's memorable, that has an identity where it feels like Kent and it's unique to Kent, but they also see themselves and their story in the Kent picture. And so there was a lot of recognition of there's a lot of really fun art in downtown and there's a lot of great parks, but connecting that through our design and our events and experiences was a way to help make that really a place that feels like it has its own identity. The second goal is about housing. And so we know that part of PSRC and the state's priorities, and especially for regional growth centers, are focusing housing and jobs near transportation opportunities. And so we have a little bit of an interesting story. Kent always does, right? So we have seen development in downtown. Most of it has been income restricted. And so part of the story of what we need in downtown Kent is a mix of incomes and a mix of intergenerational opportunities, so that we have opportunities in the morning for breakfast cafes, but that we also have something and businesses that are open for after a late night meeting or after an event at ShowWare, so that we can fully support the broader hours beyond a typical work day for businesses and retail. So that's really important, of getting a mix of residences that are downtown. We also talk about the businesses that are downtown. And so we have a lot of really interesting, unique local businesses. If you remember from the last presentation, Caroline also talked about there's a lot of people that are driving by our downtown but not coming into our downtown. And so part of this is, one, how do we create activity in our downtown with businesses? I think there's some momentum already and synergy from what's happening in the Industrial Valley, the opportunities with Naden and some of our other sites. We're seeing momentum for more businesses downtown. We also are looking at opportunities to encourage entrepreneurship. So this was something that we have some local businesses that are in Kent that are saying, I would love to do something with some of these vacant spaces while you're waiting for long-term leases. I would love to do these things. So having an attitude and a posture of how can we encourage activity downtown to happen. The next one is transforming downtown by embedding health, equity, and sustainability into our projects, programs, and actions. This is something that PSRC has a strong requirement of seeing health, equity, and sustainability considered. So it's the same with the comprehensive plan. We didn't have a very specific chapter. We decided instead to integrate it throughout the plan. This is a nod to that, saying we are going to integrate many lenses and priorities as we're making decisions and considering opportunities to integrate these priorities. Goal 5, this one is particularly special, I think. We've had a lot of conversation about it. Make it simple to get to and around downtown. So however you arrive downtown, we heard really strongly that we need to have convenient parking, and then once you're here, have the opportunity to have high connectivity to get to parks, other destinations, businesses, and to really do a strategy where you feel not only like you can park and have certainty that there's parking, but that you feel safe walking around afterwards for a variety of ways of safety is described. And so we heard a lot of this idea of we have a lot of ways to get into downtown, but we may not feel like we can explore the rest of it. And so enhancing the connectivity within downtown as well. Number 6 is our last one, and it's coordinating investments in infrastructure and capital facilities today to anticipate future growth and development downtown. So this is something that, as part of our PSRC certification, it's also just a general principle. I think we can acknowledge we work closely with our other departments already to anticipate and prepare for growth. We also have limited opportunities in economic development to invest in infrastructure like other states can, where they can say, we built the sidewalks and all these other things for you, now come develop. And so looking at ways that when we're making investments in infrastructure and capital facilities, are there opportunities, are there stones unturned that we can look at, and also recognizing that the growth may not be here now. This is still, the growth projections are still over a 20-year timeline, but preparing for that as we have opportunities to upgrade facilities and investments in the downtown core. So those are our vision and goals. Again, more people, more housing, more jobs, more activity. Caroline's going to talk in on about some of the ways that we're circling in on the plan priorities.
Okay. So at a high level, wanted to kind of walk you through some of the key items that we've heard from people as we've spoken to community members out in public, our advisory group, and the Land Use and Planning Board. We hear that people are wanting an improved pedestrian experience. Even those who drive into the downtown are going to park and ultimately be a pedestrian. So how can we create welcoming, inviting, safe places to walk, and ways to connect to our businesses and the other places that people want to go downtown? We also have heard that there is a need for increased connectivity east-west to get into the downtown area. We're looking at, are there opportunities for a clear and comfortable multimodal connection, so that we're really being targeted about where we place infrastructure so that people on bikes, people walking, people in vehicles, that they can all safely travel into the downtown area. So finding that right balance. We're also looking at connections between some of our key anchors, so Showware, Kent Station, and then the historic downtown area. We're looking at branding and wayfinding and placemaking as opportunities to really create an identity and a memorable place in the downtown where people want to come. They know where they're going and what they're going to see when they arrive. They're able to find their way around the downtown as well. And then ultimately, we're looking at addressing underutilized spaces, even if it's just a perception of vacancy. How can we create more activity, the appearance of activity, so that, again, we get back to that improved pedestrian experience, kind of full circle. So all of these are working in concert with one another. And just to kind of give you, this is a real broad brush. We've drawn many maps, so I'm going to give you kind of the overview of some of the key places that we've seen some of these ideas map out. So when we're talking about improved pedestrian experiences, one of the key corridors, obviously we want the entire downtown to be a place where people can walk comfortably. But one of the key corridors that has emerged in our conversations has been Central Avenue. We know it's a barrier for people trying to come into the downtown from some of the adjacent neighborhoods. So how can we create better connectivity across Central Avenue into the downtown? We also want it to be attractive for those who are driving through Central Avenue to know that they've arrived in downtown. Right now, you could drive by and not even know that downtown exists. So how can we create a really attractive environment that's comfortable for people to walk along? To the degree that we can, how can we create an environment where people know where they are? Again, for this multimodal connection, an opportunity that we're seeing is along Smith. It would allow us to connect from the new roundabout that's happening at Meeker there near 176, and then connect across by the Uplands Park and the Interurban Trail, connects across to Town Square Plaza and the library, the parks that are near the railroad, and then ultimately we're looking at exploring, we have funds to a grant to explore connectivity across to Earthworks Park, from downtown into that area. So we're looking at, if we were to plan a multimodal corridor where we're really emphasizing people walking or cycling, is this one that would make sense? Because it does connect to so many of our recreational opportunities along the way. It seems like one that might be an intuitive connection to make. And then again, right now when people come into the city, we're looking at Showware, Kent Station, and the historic downtown with all of the smaller local businesses there. Right now, a lot of what we're seeing from the economic data is that people come in for their singular destination and then they leave. They're not maybe aware of the other locations in the downtown, or it's just not convenient to travel from one to the other. So we're looking at a variety of strategies to connect those areas, but one of them would be to utilize some of the art and, again, tell Kent's story along this path. How can we create intuitive, natural connections from each of these key anchors in the downtown. And then this is sort of the glue that binds everything together in my mind, the branding or the identity of the downtown, creating a strong brand presence for the downtown would allow people to know where they are, have a clear understanding of what's unique about Kent, what's unique about the downtown. And it's an opportunity for us to sort of place strategically some gateways and some wayfinding to help people get through the area and be able to find all the locations that they're trying to get to. So these orange circles are kind of some specific spots where we either have an existing gateway or we can enhance something there to create kind of an entry into the downtown. And then these yellow, orangish lines are areas where we could see some increased placemaking, some increased wayfinding to help people navigate and find their way through the downtown. So with that...
Let me go back 1 second.
Yes.
So these are still, consider these big blobs. It's hard to say, this is kind of what we're thinking without someone saying, this is the city's plan. So we have had internal conversations with staff. We're still working through some of these things. There's this east-west idea. Smith already has bike lanes on a significant portion of it, so it could be filling in a gap, but there could be challenges with that. We're still working through some of this. Other plans had historically said it's going to dip down south of Meeker along Gow. There's tons of conversations in this way. So we're highlighting where we're starting to have conversations and starting to see some consensus in terms of community conversations, but we still are working through this with staff. So I want to just caution and say this is not 100% blessed, but it's where we're at in the point of where we're starting to take conversations and have more detailed conversations about, can this work, would this work? The other thing that's not highlighted expressly here, so Uplands Playfield is a significant opportunity. Meeker is coming into it, and there's Uplands Playfield, it's kitty corner from Naden, and then you come across Smith and you hit Town Square Plaza as well, which has some opportunities to help with bridging the connections between parts of the city. So we're talking with Parks, Public Works, Human Services, other groups about this, but we wanted to, before we get too far into logistics planning and conversations of what it looks like, wanted to just give you a sense of where we're going and why. These yellow are not that we're going to be completely redoing right-of-way. It's more of there's opportunities within our existing right-of-way for signage, for art, for placemaking, to help increase some of the vibrancy of downtown so that people say, I want to keep walking the next steps to that next point. So just, you did a great job. I just want to, before we say this is the city's plan, this is not the city's plan, this is still very much a work in progress. So we'd like to use the time we have to ask about the vision and goals, if there's feedback on those, and then the outlined priorities.
Councilmember Boyce.
Thank you, Madam President. I really like the goals. There seem to be a flow to your goals. I'm assuming that was part of your strategy, right? Really nice flow to the goals.
Yeah.
Then my other comment is, as we began to tell our story, right? I know we're looking for people outside to come in and learn a little about Kent, but I think there's a lot of people who live in Kent don't understand Kent either, right? So I think the more we focus on telling within our own self, our story, and that'll be another way of maybe getting them to tell the story as well too. But your goals make sense. I really like the flow to your goals. So that's my comments on that.
Councilmember Troutner.
Thank you, Council President. Again, thank you for continuing to keep us in this conversation. I'm assuming you're also working with Kent Downtown Partnership in their feedback. I am on the board, and we always have this conversation of, you have someone that goes to show or to watch an event. How do you get them over to, like, First Avenue to, spend some time there either before or after an event. So I appreciate this plan, and I know they're watching this meeting, many of them today, to be able to see what kind of information is being gathered for that too. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Larmer.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a great start to the work. I'm excited to see this progress. For me, I think the goal that really resonates is that identity, because I think once we establish that, that needs to drive our vision for everything. I think about a lot of other downtown areas that have an identity. Like I know where I know what little downtown I go to if I want a piece of art. I know where I want to go if my daughter and I want to go thrifting. So, I think as much as we can establish an identity and, cluster, opportunities for cluster businesses that make sense like that and establish that as a destination would really help. So,
Councilmember Michaud.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for this presentation. I agree with the goals and the plan priorities. And like Councilmember Troutner was saying, I hope they're also working with Kent Station. I feel like a lot of the issue in connecting Showware, Kent Station, and downtown is that I can't park at Kent Station, and it's in the middle. It's centrally located. So I like when I go to an event at Showware, I eat at Kent Station, and I also go shopping down in the historical downtown. But that's really difficult because you have to move your car around. So just something to keep in mind.
Yes, and for additional context as well, I did meet with Showware last week. We have a meeting set up with Kent Station, so that'll be happening next week. And then we are continuing to work with KDP and others who are business owners in the historic district as well. We know how important it is for all three that they have a presence, and as much as everyone wants everyone to stay and shop and do everything kind of in their location, they also do appreciate and understand the vibrancy that there is kind of throughout the downtown, and that if they can attract people from the other locations, it's a benefit to everyone. So I feel confident that we're going to be able to work with everyone. Just think through some ideas of how we can make those connections stronger.
Councilmember Fincher.
Thank you. I really like the idea too, especially with the art, not only our murals and all, but having mapping the murals and performing art, being able to get the people not only out of their cars, off the trains, so that they're stopping here for some of the other ideas that they like, along with the types of businesses. I like that, mentioning grouping the businesses so that people who have a specific interest would know that this is a spot that they can come to. And not to forget the craft places that we have. For instance, I know a group of women who do knitting and also quilting. And so we have a store right here that has a lot of things that they'd be able to use. And there might be some others in the area. And people will travel town to town to town to be able to buy those goods. So getting them in our downtown, doing that is a plus. Thank you.
Thank you, council members. Any other questions or feedback? Oh, Councilmember Boyce.
We talked about the branding, right? So any thought around branding? Because that plays a key role as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a consulting standpoint, which is kind of part of what I've done my past professional life, I think that a good strategy would be to involve someone who does this professionally, to bring in a firm who has experience, who can help us see more clearly what the opportunities can be and how it can be shown in the physical environment, and tying those together. So it's not just creating a logo or a sign, but it really is creating a full brand identity for the downtown, and then making sure that that translates to the built environment as well, so that everything is cohesive and comes together. And it would be a process as well. I think, whoever would come in to help us with that, if this is the direction we go, would need to learn what these stories are and would need to really understand the community well. So I feel like it could be an exciting process as well, to help people learn about the downtown.
And one other comment, too, is I think this is a good opportunity for the chamber, too, right? Because I know when my wife and I go travel small town, we often go to the chamber and say, hey, what a good place to go. So, what's going on? So, so I think it's key we get the chambers on and make sure they're part of this process as well, too.
Like that,
Thank you.
And we did do a very broad outreach. Sometimes it's just schedules and alignment, but we are doing a lot of filling in conversations for groups that weren't able to commit to a 3-series meetings, but we're doing more one-off for follow-up meetings. I did want to say, I think there's some really clear conversations that are emerging where Parking is a conversation of holistically for the downtown area with some of the new state bills that are coming online where we can't require parking on site for most of our downtown in the future. This plan isn't going to solve that, but it's going to set a foundation of saying we're going to need to tackle it and we need to kind of start thinking about that and getting ahead of it. Same thing with the branding. And then I think the other third one was really around vacant properties and the properties that are underutilized. And so thinking through giving us strategies and tools and some policy direction around that so that as we're working to try to do a little bit of whack-a-mole on some sites and then it's more pervasive on others, that we have a little bit more of tools in our tool belt for that. And so some of this will be directions for programs or plans coming out of it, as well as physical changes like enhancing and making areas more inviting and vibrant. So,
Councilmember Troutner.
Yes, thank you again. So we've talked about different groups. You're talking to those groups. I like the idea of us having more time now to work through this plan. When can we expect to hear back from you on new information?
Yeah, so we are working internally with staff, and then we're going to work with the advisory group to put together a little bit more firm lines on those maps and conversations about projects and priorities. So we're hoping by the end of the year that we'll have something we can bring back. We can come, I believe there's some opening in late November for a workshop if you'd like to hear from us then. Otherwise, we'll be back at the start of the year.
Councilmember Larmer.
Yeah, so just one last thought I had with planning, pedestrian experiences. I would love to see if there's a way to connect to the Historical Society, because they've had some really cool events lately.
Yeah.
And incorporating some of that events and that energy.
Yes,
into the experience.
We've been in contact with them as well as with the Mill Creek Historic Neighborhood, which is just above downtown, and how they do or don't access downtown for various reasons. And so excellent point. They've had some interesting input and ideas as well for cross-pollination of efforts.
Awesome.
Councilmember Fincher.
The question of the meeting, I would like to hear back in November.
All right. Councilmember Boyd.
Yes, thank you, Kristen and Carolyn. Thank you very much. I do have a question about your goals. So you got a total of 6 goals here. Well, are these goals unique to the city of Kent, or are just cookie cutter goals that you use?
Yes. So we have, many things we recognize. Every downtown wants to be welcoming and safe and attractive. But we have been really specific at choosing words that are reflecting the specific feedback that we've heard from community members, from the Land Use and Planning Board, from the advisory group as well. So to kind of walk through a few of those, like in the goal 1, telling Kent's story, we recognize that Kent is one of the most diverse places in the country. And so how can we reflect that? Well, we need to really make note of the cultural, diversity within the city. And if we're going to make downtown the heart, the cultural and economic heart of the city, it needs to tell that story. We also are very aware of the art that already exists, and so building on that specifically. In goal 2, again, we recognize that Kent does have some newer income-restricted housing, and so we recognize that there could be an opportunity for a broader range of housing types, and that is kind of unique to Kent in terms of the current.
Could you explain that income restricted?
I don't know if you want to talk
Yeah. So Kent has, there's income restricted properties right now are penciling better than market rate housing. So most of what we're seeing is development coming into downtown. So we're unique compared to most other King County cities and PSRC's jurisdictions, where they're saying you need to be prioritizing affordable housing, income restricted housing near your near light rail and the Sounder Station and transit. And what we're seeing as a trend is we're seeing a lot of income restricted and affordable housing coming into downtown, and that's meeting the needs and the goals of what we need. what we're also seeing is there's a gap in financing to make market rate housing pencil. And so there's conversations at the state where they're saying, no, we want to mandate, we want to add additional fees to make affordable housing happen. And we're saying, well, in Kent, it's happening. We're not saying we're stopping it or standing in the way of it, but we want to see a mix of income of housing, not purely one segment of affordability. And so that's the conversation that's really different, that we have to tell that story again and again to King County and to PSRC staff. And I think they're starting to understand it, and they've recognized that through some of our comp plan efforts. But really, there's studies that show a mix of incomes in neighborhoods contribute to more activity, which also contributes to eyes on the street and a lot of other benefits as well.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I just want to say, Kristen and Caroline, this is a great start. Thank you for all this information and working so hard on this project. And I am looking forward to what we hear about it at next meeting. And I do agree with all of the goals, and vision is very, very clear. As Councilmember Boyce said, a lot of our residents actually don't realize how much we have in Kent. So I think telling our story there is very, very important, so our community understands all that we have to offer. So I think this is a great project, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Bill Ellis here with our Kent School District partners to talk about professional development related to STEM teaching, career readiness, and enrichment activities.
Thank you, Councilmember. Good afternoon, everyone. I am indeed delighted to be joined by my friends and colleagues from the Kent School District here, Carol Cleveland, Director of Partnerships in the Kent School District, and Nick Shetya, who is also working on several important projects regarding our ongoing collaboration on advancing STEM and CTE, career technical education, in the Kent School District. If you recall, more than a year ago now, we met both school district board and council together in March of last year. Time's really flown. And felt like we just wanted to come back at the workshop and share all the great progress that we've made since then. So I'm going to ask Carol actually to present some of those activities.
Okay. Well, good evening. Thank you all so much for having me here today. In 2022-2023, the Kent School District and the City of Kent engaged in deep collaborations around our shared mission, vision, and values, as well as opportunities for our students to experience real-world, hands-on learning, not only in the academic realm, but also in the technical applied skill sets to gain meaningful employment in high-wage, high-demand jobs. In addition, we wanted our students to connect and learn more about the Kent Valley employers, career readiness, and a broad range of career-connected learning continuum options. And that includes career awareness, career exploration, career preparation, as well as the career launch experiences. This collaboration included the Kent School District doing our own needs assessments in the areas of CTE and STEM and career-connected learning, but it also included a jointly selected consultant, Kinetic West, who is well-versed in the area of STEM and career-connected continuum learning, as well as CTE. And I am proud to say that our work, or their work, included a landscape analysis and feedback from various stakeholders, which included our Kent Valley employers, foundations, all 4,000 staff in the Kent School District, some of our nonprofits, state agencies, and more. As a result of the collaboration, what we saw were opportunities for all of us to come together and create a better and different approach for meeting the broad range and interest of our Kent School District students who are also part of the community. And so thus we created a joint vision called the Kent Strategic Vision for Advancing STEM. And I'll let you all read the vision, and then I'll move forward with sharing some updates. Okay. So again, I'm going to share some progress updates on strategic priorities and then what might be some of our next steps. So we agreed that we would prioritize some system building strategies, and in particular that we were going to take a look at partner management and communications. And it's red fonted because we received some resources and support in that area. And then we also agreed to make sure that we have an established data tracking system. So I'm proud to share with you that in the short term, we have actually completed all of these nuanced steps, meaning that we did take a look at what best practices existed in partnerships, not only in school districts, but also in nonprofits and other organizations. We've consulted with the Pacific Northwest Aerospace Association, with Washington Alliance for Better Schools, Museum of Flight, et cetera. And a lot of this work actually was completed by Nick, who's next to me. We've developed a menu of opportunities for our employees and organizations to engage with our students. We've identified our legal requirements around the extent of volunteering with our students. We also created a process and flow charts for each opportunity types, whether it be worksite tour, hosting, coming in to chaperone, help us with some of the field trips, career speaking. It could be a host of different types of supports. We also set up a software platform to track partnerships. I will admit that a lot of that is done using Excel spreadsheets, et cetera, but we just reached an agreement on a software product that's going to help move us forward and more efficiently and collaboratively together. And so we also finalized external facing processing for recruiting partners, and we set a baseline already for the number of partnerships and volunteers supporting our STEM activities in the buildings. In the long term, we're thinking 1 to 3 years out. Just know that we plan on having at least 1 or 2 STEM-related community industry partnerships tied to all of our 44 schools. We also are looking at evaluating the return on investment and also taking feedback in from our external partners about how we're doing, what works well, what doesn't, what we can tweak and move forward on. And we are looking forward to collaborating more with our schoolhouse regarding partnerships and maximizing and leveraging the resources and expertise to better serve our students. Some other things that you should know as part of the work required, onboarding new staff, which happens to be our awesome Nick, who's standing here. And he has made such a difference so far in building and strengthening our partnerships. With various sectors. He's also facilitated cross-district and external collaborations. He's been capturing elementary and high school student voice. So when he helps to land career speakers in the schoolhouse, or we have career events on site or off site, he's often engaged in those events, connecting with the networking with the vendors, et cetera. So we're very proud of that. And I would say that software vendor selection process was very detailed. I think it took us 2 months to clear, but we just cleared that. And Nick already has a mock-up of it, and he was so excited today about all the things he could do in it. And so they kind of let us look at it and play around with it before we actually, sign off on everything. So also Nick developed this awesome STEAM and CTE newsletter. The intent of that newsletter is to update our awesome City of Kent partners, Bill and Michelle and others. And other people have taken interest in it, and so now we find that we're kind of sending it to different groups of people. So we're still working on the data tracking. We have a solution. Nick is playing around with that now. We're still working on not only maintaining and growing relationships, we're going to sustain those relationships, and again, evaluation tools. Also, we have what we call programmatic priorities. And in those areas, we agreed that we would look at industry guest speakers, some of which you've just heard a little bit of, and then that we would grow our STEM student clubs, our after-school hour activities for kids. So STEM student clubs and challenges. And we had some short-term goals. We had some long-term goals. And then I'll let you take a look at some of those. Okay.
Okay, well, while we're looking at, Madam President, can I ask a question? So, for your after-school program, I mean, for transportation, because sometimes I think about our minority kids and so on, so, so we all think alike. Okay, good. I was wondering, what do you have in place for, the kids that may have a hard time with transportation and so on?
Well, that's a great question. In some of our schools, we are already running buses after school because we have some categorical funds in the title and lap area. And so if we're running buses already, we try to work out something so that kids can be on it. That will also be true for some of our high school students who are engaged in clubs, as you'll see. Well, at least I know where the clubs are, but you'll see some of the details as well.
Please, Carol.
Okay.
Councilmember Fincher has a question.
Thank you. That list, the menu of opportunities sent out to businesses so that they would know how they could engage with the students, aside from Bill and Michelle and some of the ones listed here, what were the other businesses in Kent that those might have been sent to?
Well, that's a great question, and we're going to get to that shortly, where you'll see that we're engaging as part of a roundtable, and so some of the information is delivered in person and regularly, and so you'll see some of that come up.
Thank you.
Well. So great question. So just know that we're working with the Kent Chamber, Puget Sound ESD, you'll see that show up later as well. College partners, apprenticeship programs, a whole host of different organizations.
I'll speak to this one real quickly. I've credited Michelle Wilmot on my team for a while now. She's not here today, but she's been working very hard to recruit specifically aerospace employers from up and down the Kent Valley. We're getting participation not just from Kent employers, though. We're getting participation from Renton, Tukwila, Auburn. We're seeing the CTE directors from those other school districts also wanting to listen in on these. And so it's a managed process to really focus in on the highest wage industry in our backyard and capture their comments. We've been meeting quarterly, but there's also an education committee and others who've really seized on the idea of a guest speakers bureau. Part of what Nick's role is, though, is not just for aerospace, right? And some of the data tools that we're investing in, and want to thank council for your investment in this plan. It's to build a tool that is larger than just one industry. So, for instance, Pacific Northwest Aerospace Alliance was trying to build a guest speakers bureau with their own software tool, and they offered it to us, but we wanted to make sure we were building something that was broader to many other businesses as well. But we're coming up on our first annual roundtable. It's been successful. I had hoped if we had 10 CEOs on a regular basis participating, I'd call it success. We've had somewhere between 20 and 30 on a regular basis, and people are bringing along others. And it's a model that was intentionally supposed to be something of a gravity well. The more we did it, the more people wanted to bring things to it, and we're finding that. So Green River and Renton are part of it. Highline College is now knocking on the door and said, well, we actually want to do a new bachelor's program around XYZ. Can we have the same employer outreach? So rather than everyone duplicating their employer outreach, what we're starting to have is higher level attention from employers that benefits all of our public sector partners, but also especially benefits the Kent School District. And so that's been very deliberate and is tethered to this work. And I just wanted to point that part out. It's one of the initiatives of the Kent Valley Employer Table to help recruit and send their employees to this guest speakers bureau that Nick is working on. But it's not the only entry point, right? However, I am happy talking to Stoke Aerospace, who, a few years ago was at 20 employees, is now at 280, talking to their HR director. They want to send more of their new employees to go talk to Kent youth. So just wanted to point that. Oh, and I'll speak to this real quickly as well. We're also working very closely with the employers on building an Aerospace and Advanced Manufacturing Expo this October. Part of the collaboration here is working with Carol and getting insight into what do teachers need? How do we get the students there? We can work on how to get the Schomer Center open. How do we get the employers to take on booths? How do we get sponsorship? Those are things that Michelle and I have been working on, mostly Michelle, me right now with Michelle out. But working with Carol's great network, we were able to talk to the Puget Sound Education District and get clock hours for teachers who participate and bring their kids to this. So it's not what we anticipated when we started the Kent Valley Employer Table. It wasn't necessarily in our plan, but because we're collaborating all the time on the plan, and the employers said, we want to try this way of engaging with young people, we're able to act on it.
Right, and once we began to share, we heard that tribal schools wanted to attend, private schools wanted to attend, and so the good news is I asked one of my long-term partners, Puget Sound ESD, to come through for me, and they have about 35 school districts, right? And so we set the time from 10 to 1 to allow schools, school transportation doesn't occur all day, and there's some, usually around 9:20, we're clear in the Kent School District to start rolling out, going on field trips, but we need to be back around 1 o'clock-ish, and so we're just running from 10 to 1. But it's a lot of great collaboration involved in that. Higher education, folks will be there, industry, nonprofits, foundations, probably some Congress folks. And so it's been a lovely experience. And 4 school districts tied into it. So moving on to STEM student clubs and challenges in more detail. In December, all principals were invited to participate in launching the new after-school STEM clubs. We had 36 teachers to express interest in that. And so in the spring, we supported 6 teachers across 5 schools with running an after-school STEM club. And we also compensated them for their time. It impacted approximately 115 students, and the STEM clubs that were involved were at our Lakes Young Elementary, Mill Creek Middle, Sawyer Woods Elementary, Kent Meridian High, and East Hill. In particular, Kent Meridian, they had a Girl Who Code club. Mill Creek had a science club, and it looks like Meridian had a robotics and aqua robotics club. Lake Young's had a robotics club going, Sawyer Woods, robotics and coding, and East Hill had a coding club going. I am proud to share that now in the fall, we have 11 additional teachers at 9 additional schools preparing to launch after-school STEM clubs. And so you can see those schools noted, and John Rismiller has been working really hard on this work. He's our esteemed assistant director. So as it pertains to STEM lessons and STEM professional development and middle school CTE electives, again, the red fonted ones are the ones that we were able to leverage resources and share resources on. John Rismiller has done a fabulous job in this area. And so in the short term, what we decided to do was to collect data on Project Lead the Way, which is a tool or science kits that we were going to use at our grades 3 through 5 level. And so you can see that he planned for kids to get hands-on activity, project-based learning at those levels this past year. He's taken a look to see if he wants to grow some experiences, STEM experiences with those particular kits beyond the 3rd through 5th grade level. And in the meanwhile, in the long term, the goal is to make sure that all, right, so equity was a through line for our priorities, that all of our students have access to STEM learning at every grade level. In terms of resources purchased, again, he noted that there were STEM kits. And then in terms of the professional development training, we're doing like a training the trainers model. 15 teachers across 5 elementary schools participated in professional learning in October 2024, and they actually taught the curriculum, the science embedded curriculum, the STEM curriculum in spring. And then another 37 teachers in 13 additional schools was trained up this past June 2025. And they'll be teaching the curriculum this spring 2026. And so we're going to continue with the training. There'll be a whole nother training plan again in June, and then there'll be an implementation round coming. So we're looking at long-term plans for sustainability around this work and having the teachers who are already trained become trainers for the other teachers in the district. In terms of Core Plus and high school career connected learning, these are our last 2 strategic priorities that are programmatic. I am pleased to share with you that we actually launched a Core Plus Aerospace and Advanced Manufacturing program this fall. We launched it at Kent Meridian High School with a teacher who is well-versed in this work and is a national speaker. We had the support of Boeing to come up and look at our what we needed, and we bought the equipment. And so we're excited. We had 2 sections of interest. That's 24 kids per section, so that's about 48 kids that are enrolled in those classes. And of course, as you can see, there were some steps we needed to take with getting the Core Plus Aerospace and Advanced Manufacturing program that was donated by industry and others approved with the state. So we sent through our 180-hour curriculum. We're excited about what's to come on that. And we are aligning those experiences with a seamless transition into probably working for Skills Inc. or working for Boeing or Blue Origin or going off to college and extending out those experiences. So we're looking at pathways, and we're also collaborating with AJAC, which is an intermediary for getting kids trained up in youth apprenticeship program, and they're a certified programmer. And so we've engaged with them, and you'll see a little bit more about that. So ultimately, we would like for all our kids to have access to Core Plus Aerospace Manufacturing. And you'll see near the end that there are some challenges that I want to acknowledge along the way. So in terms of high school career connected learning, this is that full continuum of career awareness, career exploration, career preparation, and career launch, where kids are becoming aware. They're actually ended up being on the job training and things like that. Here are some things that we need to consider along the way. And then I'll share with you where we are with some of this work. So I'll let you read some of that. Okay. And so I'm pleased to share that in February through April of 2025 this year, we had the privilege of working with AJAC. And our first focus, and this is with support from you all, in the Port of Seattle, is that we decided that we wanted to educate our adults first. There is an information gap for us in terms of we know a lot about college. We don't know a lot about careers. And so because we don't know a lot about careers and it's not a part of our teacher training, when kids want to engage around that, we might not have a wholesome conversation with them on that. I could speak more about what my proposal to the state is for addressing that. But for the time being, do know that we had an opportunity to offer a 3-part series with all of our Kent School District High School CTE teachers, which includes, and also career specialists, our work-based learning specialists, our inclusive education, our special education teachers, because they have a DVR component for student transition plans in their IEPs. We also had conversations with science teachers, et cetera. So anyone who wanted to consider and learn about youth apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeship programming in aerospace or advanced manufacturing, we invited them along. And not only did we do that internally, we reached out externally to our industry employers to co-host the professional development training with us. And so it went well, and we culminated with a field trip to the Elma School District to see the AJAC program there in action. And not only the school district, we also went off-site to the employers, and we're able to see students working on the actual site, the manufacturing site, and sharing their story and their experiences about what difference that made in their lives. And so in totality, I just estimate it to be at least 50 adults engaged in this 3-part series. And some of the key takeaways is increased awareness and understanding of apprenticeships, the learn while you earn pathways. We know more about what employee expectations are. We understand the importance of effective wraparound student support systems and recruitment. A lot of the industry partners have mentors on the floor, and some have actual counselors and things that can support kids in a wraparound setup. And it was definitely insightful to see a functioning model. We had an opportunity to go into the CTE classrooms, talk to those teachers, et cetera. And so what you'll see on this slide is actually the Alma School District. We were actually at the high school having conversations with the CTE director and some CTE teachers. And
Just point out the Blue Origin employee that came and spoke to your teachers as well, who was a graduate of the Kent School District, who's a manufacturing manager. So I think just to emphasize what Carol was saying, partnering again, investing in doing the education work with school district teachers and others to sort of set the ground for a follow-on request, which I submitted today to the Port of Seattle, for additional follow-on funding to cement a partnership with AJAC. That does have these relationships, training agent relationships with our local employers. So there is a pathway from a Kent school to a Kent employer that wasn't always there and will in the future, I think, be there. And just thank you, Carol, for your work on that.
Councilmember Larmer has a question.
Yeah, a couple questions actually. So Carol, were just the general high school counselors included in that tour and through participation?
Yes, they were invited. They attended some of the virtual sessions. That only one counselor came on the tour to Alma School District.
I think that's an important audience to build up awareness for the high school kids. And then also as a parent of a high school child who can sometimes be a little flaky, I think parents is another important audience to understand these opportunities for their kids.
I
It's up
agree.
to the kids to choose the opportunity, but a lot of times it's us reminding them they exist.
You're right, and we have some growth to do in that area. Currently, as we are launching programs, we have parent information night with the students who met eligibility criteria to access the programs. But from a broader perspective, we have not yet, although we have language and have pulled together with the support of Kinetic West as well, communications for the possibility. We have not opened up a broader conversation with all parents, but we'll work on that for sure. You all should know that probably in about 7 days or so, we were also fortunate enough to work with you all on a collaboration with ANEW. They have a specialty area in trades and more. And so the good news is that all of our academies, our academy schools, I would say 3 of them. So we have a transition outreach program, which consists of awesome students with special needs who are in employment training. They are going to be working with ANEW. They're launching first, I think September 23rd. ANEW will come in their van, pick up the kids. We're going to give them our CTE van for the adults, and they're going to go down to Tukwila, to their location, and they're going to have an 8-week program that's 40 to 50 hours long in the fall, and then they're going to turn around in the spring, and they're going to continue learning through that program. Similarly, iGrad Academy and Kent Virtual Academy will be doing the same thing, and they're going to launch in October, and then they're going to come back around in the spring too, and they're going to have 20 students total per group. And then you should know that this summer, at least at Kent Meridian High School, but we may have 2. We're going to do 2 cohorts of 40 for all other high schools who want to be involved, students who want to be involved in learning about the trades career. So we're excited about that, and we hope to continue those experiences for kids as well. And so here are some next steps. One is, I'm going to talk about opportunities first, and then I'll talk about challenges. I feel so blessed to be working in the King County. It is a county that has a number of resources, broad expertise that we can definitely use. And most importantly, there are a lot of awesome people who care about kids and want to share in successfully preparing them for their futures alongside us. And so for that reason, you can see that is, in fact, an opportunity for us. And so we're allowed to, and we're increasing our network organizations and collaborations every week and connecting with partners. In addition, it allows us to take advantage of upcoming funding options. Sometimes when we're not well positioned as a school district to take advantage of it because they're looking for a 501(c) or a 501(36) or something, is have the opportunity to say, hey, y'all, take a look at this if you want to go for it, we love to receive the services on the other end, right? And so there's a lot of opportunities. And in addition, with opportunities, I have to note there are some challenges. And so we are collaborating with our state government to try to prioritize industry-based learning in a similar fashion as they prioritize college-going pathways. So some of the challenges includes facility and learning space. As much as we want to continue to expand because we want to onboard health services expansion, right? Medical pathways, there's a shortage in the nursing field, et cetera. We might want to dabble in that come fall 2026. When we're talking about onboarding programs, and we already have programs in the Kent School District, we're looking currently at the through line between our middle and high school programs. We're also looking at the relevancy of that job in the future, et cetera, the industry certifications that we offer and its relevancy. But at the end of the day, we have a challenge with space. If we want to onboard new things, we would have to get rid of something, right? And it's hard sometimes to get rid of programs that work for some kids to bring forward more industry-aligned work. I can say that we did find that we do a pretty good job in the area of art, in the area of cooking and things, and we have a lot of growth to do in the industry area. So we're taking a look at that. We're asking our collaborative partners if they have space for our kids to learn on their sites. We're trying to think innovatively. We're going to continue to scale up our STEAM and STEM in the schoolhouses. Again, we have to look at transportation costs, right? Once we begin to grow beyond what we're already running in terms of buses and transportation in the district. The other challenge is recruiting and hiring certified CTE instructors. Most of the time, you'll see in the public school system, a lot of teachers went through the teaching route. The difference with the CTE side is they can actually come from industry. And so it's not often that we get certified people coming in from industry that we need. We're taking a closer look at that, but what we do is we take our awesome certified teachers and we convert them. And we put them on a learning plan and pay for their education to get trained up in industry-aligned ways and standards. And so we're going to continue to take a look at that, what we have in each building, what their endorsements are, where we are with that, and trying to see if we can position ourselves better to, so when there is attrition or people are leaving, that we're backfilling with people who can take us further in this industry learning game. And also securing sustainable resources. While these partnerships are awesome, I am mindful that the money doesn't last forever, right? Oftentimes grants have to be rewritten. I'm also mindful that some are going away. Some of the costs we may have to absorb through our CTE budget. But I'm optimistic that with continued collaboration, we can definitely make things happen. And so I would say in closing, collaboratively, advancing STEM and CTE with our City of Kent partners and community is needed. And it's exciting for student learning engagement and their well-being. Also, these efforts will help solve some of our local, regional, state, and national economic development challenges. In addition, it will ensure that our students are ready for global citizenships. So thank you for your continued support with this work. And keep in mind that this is not, the work that we're doing is not just shaping educational programs, it's actually shaping futures. And we're not just shaping student futures. Together, we're building a stronger Kent community. So let's continue to partner and collaborate. We can do this together. Thank you.
Councilmember Boyce.
Excellent presentation. My peers know I like to take credit for stuff. So I was on the school board many years ago. We went to the iGrad program, so it's nice to see you involved, really. I just think a phenomenal job. And, you know, we crossed paths at board. I managed 9 of the large nonprofit programs, and I know with the STEM that you're doing with one of the nonprofits, it's a phenomenal job, really. You're doing a great job getting kids involved. So I'd definitely like to maybe meet up with you, because we have 8 other nonprofits that maybe we can see how we can merge and work that together too. But for what I've seen with some of the stuff you have done, it's just been really awesome. And I just really appreciate your passion, and I can feel it. And I just thank you very much for what you have done.
Well, thank you, and I'd love to meet with whomever you bring forward.
Okay. Also want to recognize Dr. Wade Behringer. I mean, here from the superintendent as well, office as well too. Appreciate you being here. And your partner, can he say a few words and tell us a little bit about him?
Oh, sure.
Please?
Come on up, Nick.
Thank you.
Tell them you're wrong.
So basically, what we just did with the PowerPoint presentation is I gather all the information into a network, like we call a Rolodex. At the moment, we've got 400 partners from the Kent Valley, also from all Tukwila businesses, from aerospace to manufacturing to retail. One of the key things was students who are graduating don't have pathways. And one of the things they wanted to do is, for example, how to get into Costco Covington. That's one of the goals. And as teachers didn't have no idea, and luckily we advertised who I am. They contacted me within a month. I got the regional manager of that office. I've got the manager come in and explain to them, hey, this is how you join Costco. They had a presentation of these classes. So we did a post survey about it, and the kids said, where do I apply? And one of the key learnings that it's good to apply, is also to go with your application, to go to the space, say who you are, why do you want to be there. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And that connection would not happen if kids didn't have that contact with that representative. That's one of the key things that we learned, along with the City of Kent, to have this opportunity to create this dashboard where all these contacts can be available for students.
Thank you so much. Good job, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Nick. And thank you, Bill, for this amazing program. I think Councilmember Troutner had a comment.
Thank you, Council President. Just to echo what Councilmember Boyce had said, great presentation. You talked about partnerships and opportunities. And I think it's all of us working together. It's you connecting with the right people. And then, like Councilmember Larmer said, making sure our families and our students and the parents know what opportunities are available, because it's endless. And you're doing a great job to make sure those opportunities exist. So I appreciate you being here.
And I want to end this by saying that, I appreciate this partnership. I'm so excited for our students to have opportunities so they understand, what they can do in the future and all the opportunities they have available here in the Kent Valley. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate Bill and Michelle for all their amazing ideas they bring up, forward, and putting money, where their mouth is. So I really appreciate you. Thank you for all the hard work. And Carol and Nick, looking forward to collaborating with you in the future. And Dr. Behringer, good to see you here. Thank you for your support. And with that, we are adjourned until 7 o'clock. Oh, Councilmember Fincher has a question. I'm sorry.
Well, mine was just a comment. We know the fruit that this program can bear, but something that you may not think of. In these changing times, there's going to be a lot of their parents and older family members who will need jobs, who may not know it's out there either. And so as they learn and see and take these things back home, there's going to be many more that this is going to feed, so to say. So this is a great program. Thanks.
Thank you. I have a plan for supporting parents too. I just didn't share it today, but stay tuned.
All right. With that, we are adjourned until 7 o'clock. Thank you. See y'all at council meeting.